It's deer season.
Cut! Again with the Oreos? And their reduced fat! And you!
What'd I do?
180 degrees! 180! How hard is that? Claude, beautiful job, son.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Deer murderer is my vision. When I was 12, I had a really awkward encounter with a deer. Anyways. But my actors, they're so awful. Thanks, Obama. Oh, Claude, my prodigy. We spent days, nights. I had him on a special sleep cycle, an acting diet. He's the product. The best actor ever.
Ever since I was 6 years old, I've been working on Dear Murderer with my father. It has been an excellent film, I know, because I'm in it. The acting prodigy of the family. My mama's good genes, my papa's good genes.
The saving grace of my film.
It's Claude.
It's Claude.
I'm telling you, this film will win me an Oscar and other ladies. I mean, Dear Murderer has been my father's vision since he was 12 years old.
Claude, why are you speaking in that stupid French accent?
Dad, French accents are cool, man, okay?
I've been a part of The Deer Murderer for 10 years now. And Winston, he's got a vision, all right. But the staff development meeting, it's weird to say the least.
Hold the antlers up!
I never satisfied.
Shut up! Do you feel the power of the deer? Long story short, we have no money. But I made a call to my dude Tyrone. I don't think they're gonna take it well, but I have a plan. I'm gonna tell him in staff development meeting. Well, guys, I have pretty good news. I called my dude Tyrone. He's gonna come help us out. So, honestly, things can only go up from here.
Bro, to be honest, I kind of just want to leave. I'm kind of done with this. Been here for 10 years.
Are you forgetting about this contract? I have your soul for 20!
Good move, father!
Shut up with that stupid accent!
The mission is simple. Get the boy and get out.
Tyrone! Oh, you returned them! Thanks, dude. Whoa. Hey, always telling the truth. Okay. Donald, build that wall. Secretary Clinton. Emails.
You may think you have the rarest Pepe Le Frog memes, but you have Kim Kardashian Pepe.
I don't.
That is rarest Pepe. I mean,
You're a miracle. What do you like? Been here for 10 years.
Okay, guys, welcome to the set. So let me tell you guys my vision. Right over there, we have the deer.
Get the boy! Get the boy!
oh, get your dirty paws off of me!
Quit with the rich accent, Claude. It's not helping anything.
Get your paws off me, you dang it dirty ape!
I think that went rather well.
Claude!
I have no idea what happened. I am very confused. Claude just got kidnapped. I mean, honestly, I wasn't a big fan of Claude, but I mean, I thought you trusted Tyrone.
I do trust Tyrone.
Well, long story short, we're going after Claude.
All right. For you 7th graders that are wondering what that was, Road Rally is coming up soon. Our seniors will be following the story here a little further, and it should be lots of fun. Hey, Road Rally is coming up the first Monday of November. That's very, very soon. Start getting your cars together. We'll have more info for you soon, okay? Hey, tomorrow during Flex is the first NHS chapter meeting. You guys, it'll be right here in Stage 2, and all NHS members need to attend at least 2 meetings this year, and the meetings will last the entire Flex period until 12:10. So juniors and seniors, you will not get off early for that. This week you'll have the opportunity to learn about the value of service and sign up for some great service projects. Plan to attend tomorrow. Also, tomorrow is the last day for lollipop sales. Everybody go home, empty your piggy banks, bring a $20 bill, buy lollipops, okay? A reminder, there's no Flex free today. When we finish here, we're gonna go to our study halls and fill out a very short survey, and then you guys will have time to study. Also, don't forget that our baptism service, if you haven't been baptized or want to be baptized, is next Friday, okay? And then lastly, in case I forget at the end of today, we need to pick up chairs, all but the last 4 rows, okay? So don't leave here with chairs sitting out. Also, don't forget that next Friday evening at 7 o'clock is One Act Plays Arsenic and Old Lace. Should be a lot of fun. And the last announcement that I have for you is that we are missing a set of keys. It's Miss Morin's keys. They're on a green, coiled-y key ring thing, and we need those back as soon as possible. So if you guys see those laying around, please get those back to Miss Morin ASAP. Pledges. Y'all go ahead and stand for pledges, please. Jet.
All right. I pledge allegiance I pledge allegiance I pledge allegiance
All right, good morning. It's kind of hard to transition back into depression awareness after watching that video. That was very creative, by the way. Okay, we're going to continue today, part 2 of this presentation. And today's the last day, and we've got some interesting things to show you today. The focus of today is going to be what you guys can do to act. I want to give you some tools today to put in your tool belt if you ever come across somebody who's really struggling, or maybe you yourself or find yourself in that boat. What do you do? So that's really the focus of today, but I didn't get to this part yesterday. I don't know if we have slides yet, but some myths versus some facts. We're going to see what you already know. So if you think it's a myth, what's up there, you're going to do an M on your head. We're going to get you some participation. If you think it's a fact, give me 2 thumbs up. Okay? So here we go. Let's see what your knowledge is of some of this stuff I've been talking about. Men are more likely to be depressed than women. Myth or fact? Okay. This is a myth. Women, you ladies, are twice as likely to have depression. However, it's unrelated to your ethnicity, your education, your economic status, etc. Okay, number 2. It is normal for teenagers to be moody. Fact, no, teens, however, do not suffer from real depression. Myth. Y'all are so smart. All right, depression occurs at any age. As I told you yesterday, the 3rd leading cause of death is suicide for ages 10 to 19. So it's all ages we're looking at. All right, number 3. Talking about depression only makes it worse. So if we talk about it, we address it, it just makes it worse. Myth or fact? That is a myth. So actually talking about it has been proven to help people. It helps people get help. It helps people start to recognize what's going on. Scripture says, if you'll do one more click on that, from Proverbs 16, verse 21. The wise in heart are called discerning, and pleasant words promote instruction. So your words to somebody can really help them in a time of distress. I think this is a big one. You heard me talk about it yesterday for Christians. And I mentioned yesterday at Trinity, after visiting with students the last 4 years, I've had a lot of students sit in my office and say, you know, if I admit to having this or dealing with this, I get excluded. People start to judge. People cast me out. And that's really sad to hear. So you can't have problems. You can't be a human being and just have difficulties that you're facing. And so I hope as you hear that, not saying that's everybody here, but you guys can begin to change that culture here. That this is a place that you can deal with what you're facing, and you can go to people and y'all can help each other through it. That's what, as Christians we're called to do. We're called to help each other, to pray for each other, have mercy on each other. And so just wanted to encourage you in that again. All right, the next one. Myth versus fact. Depression runs in families. Okay, you are correct. That is a fact. Heredity does play a factor, but it doesn't mean you are going to be depressed if somebody in your family has this. That doesn't mean that's going to happen. It just means you're more predisposed to it. Maybe you've learned some of the behaviors that you've seen, and so that's just kind of, you've taken that on, but it doesn't mean that that's going to be the case for you. So, okay? There's one more, I think. Oh, no, 4 more. All right, all people with depression are suicidal. Myth or fact? That's correct. Myth. It's a myth. Not all people who have depression want to hurt themselves. And so, again, I want to stress, actually, someone brought this up yesterday. Someone brought it, to remind you guys that depression, and often guys, I don't know what is causing all the conversation, but I'm glad you're talking about it. But give me a minute to finish. If you have depression, that we often lump these 2 topics together. And they're really separate. And so if you're struggling with depression, that's just as important as if you're struggling with harmful thoughts. Both things seek some attention. And so if you have depression, it doesn't mean that you are suicidal, but often we see the two go together at some point. If depression is left untreated, if it's left unchecked, then we get down the road into some hurtful behavior. Okay, next one. People who talk about killing themselves never do it. Okay, that is a myth. Of those who took their own lives, about 75% gave warning signs or clues to friends and family. So take any threat seriously. There are people that you probably have come across that say things to get a rise out of people, but most of the time, people that are saying things are really seeking, they really need help. They're crying out for help, and this is where, as my charge to you today, as we focus today, if you don't take action, then sometimes things happen, and that can have a lifelong effect on you too, and what you carry the burdens of. All right, almost done. Myth versus fact, females attempt suicide more than males. Females more than males. This is a fact. However, females are less successful. Okay, often what males do is they use means that are just, they tend to use guns more than females do. Females use other means. All right, and the last one, myth versus fact, telling a trusted adult is considered betraying your friend. I'm glad to see most of you say myth. No, your friend may actually be very relieved. I will tell you this, as a counselor, I have had, this is always what I hear. When friends often come down, and they'll often tell me, Mrs. Powell, this is what my friend is saying, this is what I've seen online, and I'm afraid to tell you, they'll often go down that road. I'm afraid they're going to be mad at me. I'm going to lose my friend. I can tell you guys, in the last 9 years, I've never seen it once happen. I've never seen a friendship lost over it. Now, the student that I address it with have come in my office and have been angry at me. I had a student in my last high school literally turn her back to me and sit facing the wall for an hour and a half until her parents came to pick her up. She would not look at me. She was so mad at me for calling her in. 2 years later, when she graduated, she asked me to be her friend on Facebook. So I told her, I don't care if you're mad at me. I care if you're alive or not. So you can be mad at me all you want. All I care about is you're alive tomorrow. And so friends, just rest assured that has never been the case, that friends have actually dropped their friendship over that. It's the most caring thing you can do for your friend. Okay, next slide. I'm going to shift a little bit now into suicide and just some warning signs as we get into what you need to be looking for. Some of the risk factors of people that are on the verge, or just to look for if they're going to hurt themselves. And this is what I'm always looking for as a counselor. Teachers, staff, as you start talking to students, it's things to pay attention to. Have they had previous suicide attempts? Any untreated depression or mental disorders? Alcohol and substance use, that is very important at your age. I'm always looking for that because it's often in the picture. Exposure, has someone in their family done this? So that's often in the picture as well. History or currently being abused. Access to lethal methods. I've had a lot of girls that use pills, so do they have access to it? Do they have access to guns, access to knives, whatever it is that they're talking about? Exposure in media and major life stressors. So, divorce of a parent, relationship breakups. That's a hard one to see, because to see somebody take their life over just, a relationship that went south. But that has happened a lot. All right, the next slide. Causes of suicide. How do people get to this point? These are often what's in the picture. If you'll put them on up there. Anger, sadness, despair, grief. And what I'm always looking for as the counselor is hopelessness. If a student sits in my office and can't talk about any sense of hope, like there's nothing for me anymore, I have nothing to live for. mean, I can honestly sit there and talk to them and just sense this person is hopeless. That's when my big red flag goes up and I'm like, we are in some serious danger here. And so that's what you as a friend or a family member might listen for as someone talks. Do they have that sense of hopelessness? And I love the verse in Ecclesiastes, anyone who is among the living has hope. So just remember that. That's straight out of the Word of God. Okay, so now what to do? All right, so what to do if you are personally going through this? Perhaps you're sitting here today, you feel like, you know what, I the things you've talked about, that's me. What do I do? Well, the first thing I want to say is be careful to not believe everything you think. Remember, not everything you think is true. And we talked about that a few weeks ago when I talked about the mistaken identity. What things we say to ourselves are not often true. So be careful about everything you're believing as you hear inside your head. And Dr. Cox gave a great illustration in chapel a few weeks ago about the driver's seat. And remember he talked about emotions? I'd say be careful to not let your emotions drive your decisions. You guys at your age, it's, scientifically, you're more impulsive at this age. You tend to react more emotionally. So just be careful, be aware of that. But then I would say also don't keep it to yourself. That's the most important thing. You've got to reach out. So on the next slide, here's what you should do. Tell someone. Go to your friend, go to a trusted coach, go to your counselor, go to your parents if you can go to your youth pastor. But you've got to talk to somebody and tell them. And Scripture says the truth will set you free. You've got to begin that journey of hope and healing. Go to the Lord about your pain. If you've not been praying regularly, you've not been going to him, this is the time to do it. Get on your knees and start fighting. Fight for your life. It says in Psalms, I am in pain and distress. May your salvation, O God, protect me. Cry that out to him. And then the last thing I would say is determine what voices you're listening to. So I want to ask you as teenagers, because as adults, this is the same for us. What are you allowing to come in to talk to you? Do you spend all your time on social media? Is that what's talking to you all the time? And so all you do is sit around and compare your life to somebody else's, and because, of course, on social media, everybody's life is perfect, right? Are you just watching like violent video games and violent movies and, you love your Netflix, but they're all like really violent and I don't know. What are you constantly feeding yourself? Ask yourself that question. Are you feeding yourself the words of God, the truth, and putting that in your mind daily? So in your seat, I gave you a card and I laminated it. And I want to thank Miss Petty for helping and Riley Glass. You're my two helpers on this. It took us a long time. And we laminated it because we didn't want you to just throw it away. I want you to put it in your Bible. And I want you to use these verses. If these thoughts come into your head, turn to these truths that are written in red. Or maybe you can I've used these cards before with other people. So lately I've been counseling some women in my church and I go to coffee with them and I just pull these things out and speak to them about it. And it helps you as you minister to other people. So that's my gift to you, okay? Okay, now the last thing I want to talk to you about is what do you do if a friend is in the situation? I think for the majority of you in here today, this is where you're going to be. Because not all of you are going to go through this personally, but you're going to probably come in contact with a friend or an acquaintance who's in this situation. So I want you to remember the acronym ACT, and we've told you this before in the past. A, and keep going down. Go to the next slide, please. Thank you. A is acknowledge. So if somebody says something, acknowledge it. Validate them. Let them know you're listening to them. Don't just brush them off. C, care. You got to show that you care. I sit and talk to them. We just said you can talk about depression. You can talk about these things. It's not going to make it worse. It actually helps that person by showing you're listening and you're interested. And then T is tell. You have to tell somebody. And I don't mean just go tell your other friend. You have to tell an adult, somebody that can take that burden off of your shoulders. Because guys, if your friend pulls the trigger and you didn't tell, what's going to happen to you for the rest of your life? What kind of guilt do you live with? So you've got to get it off to somebody else. And that's why I'm here. I'm trained in this and can help you take it off of you. Go to another adult if you don't feel comfortable coming to me, and we will help you. Okay? Okay, so we are going to show you right now. I have some fabulous actors are going to show you a real life scenario of how you can handle a situation. Actors, take the stage. I want you to look for the things they did well and the things they did not do well, not acting wise. Okay. They're very entertaining. As you can see, often we pick that scene because what we found is at your age group, a lot of what these, when you notice people are hurting is often on social media. You'll see comments a lot. And what do you do in those situations? And so pay attention. Obviously, in the first scene, they did not care at all. They were joking. The second scene, they're making an attempt to realize he's not the same. Of course, we forced it really fast. You would probably start to really pay attention at that point, what's going on. And eventually, if you feel like he's withdrawn, he's isolating, he's commenting on social media, he's not going to be here anymore, you need to immediately go see somebody. That is a big red flag, and usually something pretty imminent right after that happens. So thank you, actors, for showing us something. I want to close today with a guest. She's just going to talk to you very briefly. She is a parent here as well. So prior to becoming a principal, she has spent many years as a lead crisis counselor in the Lubbock area, and she has served in Lubbock ISD, handling their trauma situations with a small team of trained counselors. She's been routinely called in to lead efforts on the 50 campuses in LISD for about 9 years of her 17-year career. She is a parent to Kale and to Ellie and Avery, and she's here to talk to you about what she's seen when she goes in after a suicide happens. And so give Mrs. Underwood a round of applause.
Thank you. I think it's on. Sorry. Well, when Miss Powell asked me to come in and to talk to you guys about what I used to do a long time ago, Kel was actually really tiny when I was still doing this job. But basically, my job was if you woke up in the morning and you were getting ready for school and you saw anything bad on the news that had to do with a young person in Lubbock or a teen in Lubbock, I usually was the one that got the phone call next. And so, you know, in all of those years, I handled a lot of deaths of students, of young people, of kids that were involved in accidents and just cancer, horrible diseases and things like that. But there's nothing quite like having to go into a school and deal with the aftermath of someone who's killed themselves. You know, it's just not the natural order of things. It's not how things are supposed to go. And so when you're preparing to go into these situations and take care of the people that are left, most times you can be pretty predictable about how things are going to go. You know, you have a pretty good game plan. You know who you're going to visit with first on the campus, and it's going to kind of go through a pretty predictable set of steps, and you can pretty much know by the end of the day you'll have most things fairly well tended to and a plan for the following days. But when it was a suicide, I just remember getting in my car and driving there and praying the whole way, because it didn't matter if it was the it kid on campus or if it was the kid that nobody knew. When you walked through the front door of the school, you could feel it. You could feel the heaviness. You can feel the profound loss. You could feel the just despair in the room. And so what I wanted to talk to you about today is, some of the things that I repeatedly heard from people in the situations, from students, from parents, from teachers, after something like this had occurred. And so I'm going to kind of just go through a few things like that with you. But what I really want you to understand is it's a ripple effect. It is something that is felt, and it can go to it shakes the very core of a school campus. And so there are things that we can do to save a life. And I love the things that Mrs. Powell has been saying to you about how we can intervene before hopefully it ever gets to that point. But I'm going to go through a few of the slides that I had prepared just to kind of talk to you about some of the things that I hear when I would go in. We would always start with the people that were closely related in terms of like close friends, or we would follow the kid's schedule and go through the day. But with a suicide, it's so far-reaching that it wouldn't even matter if someone didn't even know that kid well or didn't know them, hardly at all. You would hear, I wish I would have known. I wish I would have realized how much they were hurting. I wish I would have done something different. And I think what that speaks to just in our culture is sometimes an inability to see how much someone else is struggling. Because we're all kind of struggling ourselves, every day. We're trying to make it through every day. And so we kind of walk through life a little bit with blinders on, or we are kind of like me. I'm always walking with a purpose, like I've got stuff to do. I've got my next thing to get to. We don't always look to see the people around us. And so I think once something like this happens, all of a sudden the blinders are off and we see where, oh man, why didn't I? I wish I would have taken a moment or paused or said something to that person. In the next slide, the other thing that I hear is why? Especially if it's someone that wasn't in your realm of friends or in their realm of friends, they would say, why wasn't I their friend? Why did I not, speak to them, or why didn't I encourage them instead of discourage them? Because, some of the kids that suffer the most after a suicide are also the ones that maybe had contributed in a little way to the despair of a person. And so all of a sudden, it's like, why was I not that encourager? Or why did I not tell them that I hurt too? And I love that Ms. Powell was saying, at Trinity, we have as many problems as anybody else in the world. Where there are people, there are problems. And trying to mask it or cover it up or pretend like our lives are perfect when they're not, that doesn't lend a lot of opportunity for us to be salt and light in the world. And so, these are the things that people are saying, like, why didn't I say? I struggle with that too. Maybe that would have given the other person hope. Okay, the next thing that we hear a lot, and this, especially from the parents of the kids, is whatever they were facing, their child, their kid, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter. Every problem really can be fixed. It may not be a fun fix. The solution may be really painful, and it may be hard to disappoint our parents. But no matter what, a parent always says, I didn't care. I don't care. I would have rather had them here and us working through that together than for them to decide that, the loss of their life would be worth that. So, just remembering at those points that everything, really everything is fixable. And the other thing is, like Ms. Powell was saying also, it's so sad when you see kids go to these links, especially over a loss of a relationship, We do think in high school or junior high that person that we really like or we're in love with is the end-all, be-all, But after we graduate high school and we're in college, are we even going to hardly remember their name? I mean, probably not. And so, a lot of conversations come up about, in 2 years' time, is this even going to matter? In 4 years' time, is this going to matter? And I even sometimes the things that I'm stressing about, during the day, I think, next week, am I even going to care? So, it's just about perspective and helping people through the perspective. Okay, and the next thing, life does bring joys and it brings disappointments. And I think that, as followers of Christ, we realize that our lives are going to be, we're going to have ups and downs. And so people are always saying, like, this bad situation, this bad thing, it's going to last forever. But it's not. The rain doesn't last forever. The snow doesn't last forever. Nothing but death lasts forever. We're going to experience both highs and we're going to experience both lows. And so as followers of Christ, noticing those people around us that seem to be kind of in the valley at that moment, struggling through something at that moment, and looking for ways to connect them to hope and to kind of come alongside them and lead them out of that. I know, like, for myself in high school, I had trained my whole life, to be a cheerleader, I was a dancer. And back when I was in high school, it was just popular vote. Nobody went before a judge. Nobody, said, oh, yeah, you're really good at this. You need to do, it was all just popular vote. And I didn't make it, and I thought, oh, this is awful. This is horrible. And it was devastating. It broke my heart. But having someone come alongside you and say, there's a plan, and I knew there was a plan. But, later on in God's timing, I became a cheerleader in college. I would not have experienced that, maybe, if I had gotten all of that out of my system in high school. So there's, bad times come, but there are good times on the horizons as well. And then the last one. This one I hear a lot from teachers just talking about how I wish I had gotten to know that student better. I wish that I hadn't been so focused on, getting through my lesson plans that day, which are important. I wish that I had taken the time to really build a relationship with those kids in my class. They too suffer in a situation like this because, they're here for a job and a purpose, and it's to teach kids something. But then when one of them loses their life tragically, we all go back and think, I wish I had taken the time and really gotten to know them better, because really the relationships are what matter the most. That's what lasts with us. Okay. And then the last one is, and I heard this a lot, I didn't believe they would actually do it. Maybe they did hear someone say that they were going to hurt themselves, or they were contemplating hurting themselves, or they felt like life didn't matter anymore. But they never believed that they would take that next step. And I think that's what Ms. Powell is, really trying to hit home with us today, is that we really just have to go alongside that person and lead them to help. We don't necessarily have to sit there and debate in our mind whether or not we think they're capable of doing something like that, because at that point it really doesn't matter. They are screaming out in their way for help and for assistance, and for us to notice that they need something. So, get help anyway. And then, just kind of now moving on from here, as followers of Christ, how can we continue to show love and care and compassion towards each other? It's important for us to let each other know that we're here. It's okay. We don't have to be perfect, and that life does fluctuate. We have to remind each other of that, especially when we're in those low points. And that we do have to know where our hope lies, and that God can use all of our failures in very mighty ways. So thank y'all for letting me come and talk to you for a few minutes. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay. That would be a hard job to go in after those situations. Okay, we're going to wrap up now. This is what's going to happen. Thank y'all for being a great audience. I know it's 2 days of very heavy material.